Hello, Commissioner Coleman.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can. Loud and clear.
All right. By the way, I hear a lot of conversation in the background. I just want you to know that.
Yes, ma'am. They have a couple of live mics that stay on all the time, kind of like our courtroom as well. So just ambient noise during the break.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm an old man too. I'm 70 years old. I'm already there.
This is Commissioner Mitchell joining.
Hello, Commissioner Mitchell. We can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you.
Hold it. Mic check, mic check.
Commissioner Mitchell and yes, she's online. Oh, thank you. Heading down to get that. If everyone could please start moving to their seats. If everyone could please come on in and take their seats. I need everyone to please move to their seats. We're beginning the hearing. If everyone could please move to their seats, we're ready to get started. All right, if we could get the doors to that hallway closed, we'll go ahead and start the hearing. Let's go on the record. Today is July 23rd, and the current time is 1:32 p.m. The question and answer portion of this afternoon's event. Excuse me, sirs, if we can all have a seat, we're beginning a hearing now. Thank you all. The question and answer portion is over for this portion of our event. What will be happening now is the testimony before the Missouri Public Service Commission. The Missouri Public Service Commission has set this time aside for members of the public to comment about Liberty's requested rate increase, and that is in case number ER 2024-0261. My name is Charles Hatcher, and I am the regulatory law judge that will be overseeing this hearing. The Commission regulates the rates charged by public utility companies in Missouri to ensure that the rates are just and reasonable. The Commission also regulates the quality of service and safety of the operations of public utilities. The Commission is made up of 5 commissioners. We currently have 1 vacancy at the moment. We have the Commissioner's Chair, Kayla Hahn, and also Commissioners Maida Coleman, Glenn Kolkmeyer, and John Mitchell. They are appointed by the Governor and confirmed by the Senate. With me today are the Chair of the Commission, Kayla Hahn, and online we also have Commissioners John Mitchell and Commissioner Maida Coleman. Chair Hahn, would you like to make any opening remarks?
Good afternoon, everyone. Just want to welcome you to our local public hearing this afternoon. We know that the afternoon hour can be challenging, and so we do appreciate you making time to come out and give us your comments. As part of the rate case process, this is really an important part because it's really the part where we get to hear directly from the public about their thoughts on the case. And so we really value that feedback. And so again, we'll just look forward to hearing your comments and taking those into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Now we'll move to the attorneys for the parties and have them introduce themselves for the record. First for the company, Ms. Carter.
Diana Carter for the Empire District Electric Company, doing business as Liberty.
Thank you. And for staff?
Andrea Hansen, entering her appearance for Staff Counsel's Office at the Missouri Public Service Commission.
Thank you. And Office of the Public Counsel.
Nathan Williams, Chief Deputy Public Counsel, appearing on behalf of the public and the Office of the Public Counsel.
Thank you. This case also has a few intervening parties. Are any of those parties here that would like to introduce themselves for the record? Seeing none. This is a very well-attended hearing, as have the previous hearings for this commission. And we do want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to speak because the commission does want to hear all of your comments. For that reason, I will be having a timer set and limiting comments to 3 minutes each. That is so that you can make sure that your comment is heard by the commissioners and your neighbors have time to make their comments. Many of you did sign up with one of the sign-up sheets. I'll go through that list. At the end of the list of names, I'll then ask if there was anyone in the audience who didn't sign up or testify already who would then like to. So if you didn't sign up, that's not your only chance. And lastly, the commission won't be able to answer questions today. That's why we specifically labeled it the question and answer portion, and that was at the beginning. This portion is taking testimony. So the commission wants to hear from you. You're effectively providing a witness statement. But we can't answer questions because the commission is still deciding this case, and so they won't be able to give their opinion until they do it in an official decision after all the evidence is presented. Lastly, before we start the testimony, I'm going to let you know about 2 shortcuts I'm going to be making. And this is for saving of time. I just mentioned to you that we're trying to make sure that everyone has a chance to speak. And we have found that, well, swearing everyone individually adds about 30 seconds to each person's testimony. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swear you all in as a group. And then I'll just ask that you confirm that when you come up, and that'll save some time. So everyone that has signed up to be a witness, please raise your right hand. And do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth? If so, please say, I do. Thank you all. And then what I'm going to do is also to save some time is I will be spelling your last name. We have a court reporter, and I have your names here listed. Just to save a little bit of time, I'm going to take my stab at spelling your name and ask if you can confirm that that's true or not. And that's so our court reporter, when they make a transcript, can accurately have your name spelled. So with that, I'm going to start off with our list. First on our list, we have Representative Brian Seitz. Oh, sorry, sir. Come on up. Thank you. Please confirm that you're sworn in.
Yes, I am sworn in, and for the record, I am State Representative Brian Seitz.
And last name is spelled Seitz, is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Please go ahead with your statement.
Thank you very much. I think we talked about this during the question and answer period. The rate increases seem to be arbitrarily high. In no other industry do you see an overnight rate increase of quite probably 40%. I think that's going to hurt not only residential homeowners, but business owners here in our tourist town. Ticket rates are going to have to go up. Hotel rates are going to have to go up. Restaurants are going to have to raise their rates. I worked at a large car wash for 21 years. If they're going to have to pay upwards of 26 to 40% in a rate increase, we're going to have to raise prices yet again. I'll be running legislation in January to give the consumers a choice in their utilities and change state statute regarding that manner. Capitalism builds competition and leads to lower prices. The co-ops need to be given as a choice that consumers can make if there are going to be arbitrary rate increases. Liberty is a subsidiary of Algonquin Power and Utilities Corporation. I've reached out to my good friend Congressman Eric Burleson, and I will also contact Senator Eric Schmidt for help in Washington to find out why a Canadian company is so involved in power generation and disbursement in the United States. This is not in alignment with President Trump's America First agenda. I spoke on the House floor in reference to Senate Bill 4 and voted no. Now, I understand that this rate increase has nothing to do with Senate Bill 4, but when the lobbyists were there visiting my office, I said, okay, so rates are going to go up because of Senate Bill 4 and future test models and test cost. They said yes. I said, okay, so we'll keep them at current rates right now because they're going to go up anyway due to Senate Bill 4. And to a man and to a woman, they answered honestly and said no. These rate increases were already planned and will find further rate increases due to Senate Bill 4. I think it's going to harm our local economy, and the residents of Branson, Missouri cannot afford the rate increases. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Representative. Were there any questions? Hearing none, I appreciate you being here this afternoon. The next name, and I'm going to call a few names at a time to go ahead and start a line so we can make sure and get to your statements in a timely fashion. Dan Nosalik. Thank you. It's spelled phonetically for me. I appreciate that. Right after Mr. Nosalik will be Steve Schesser. Sorry about that. I do apologize for my mispronunciations. Mark Moore, and then Scott Novak. Mr. Nosalik, is your last name spelled Nosalelc?
No sale with a K on the end.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And please confirm that you sort of tell the truth.
I was sworn in.
Thank you. Please go ahead with your statement.
Okay, you threw me a little loop when you said 3 minutes. I thought it was 5, hopefully at least. But I appreciate everybody here, the board, and especially the OPC member. For those of you who don't know, this is our lawyer. This is the one who fights our case for us with PSC. So that service I really appreciate. The whole question here is the integrity, the numbers, the calculations that are being given to us. They say 30%. Wow. 30% for who? If you use over 15 kilowatts per hour, 1,500 per hour, if you use 500, I'll let you guess who uses 500 kilowatts. It's 39% per hour. How do these numbers come about? Why don't we bring those numbers? It's obvious. Typical business profile. PSC, you need to be looking at this. They're going to give the best case scenario for them. We're looking at 39% for those who least can afford it. Now then, I got to get off my notes because I'll never make 3 minutes. One that really bothers me and bothers OPC from everything I can find in their sworn testimony before the board is that the original filing for the rate request was in last November. That rate request was for $92 million. I may be off a little bit, for $92 million. Thank goodness OPC comes in, looks at their request. It's not right. They're counting things they should not be counting. Best of my recollection, a lot of it was on fuel costs. So immediately they jump in, refile the second time. The second time they filed for $158 million, $60 million more than the original request. Now, the way I understand it, and this all comes from the PSC webpage, their documents, their testimonies, the way I understand it, they made this change by a method that is normally used for typo errors, small number errors, not for massive changes. It was snuck in. The whole thing should have been kicked out and reprocessed from day one, so we had a full opportunity to have the time allotted to attack this situation, look into the data. I feel certain that I presented that correctly. If I don't, I welcome to be challenged on it. But the whole thing amounts to profits. How much more money can we make? Presently, just recently, the state has passed legislation that they can now collect fees to pay for new projects. Now think about that. How would you like to be a businessman? I can make my customers pay for my new building, and I don't have to go out and get a loan or pay interest on it.
Sir?
Yes, sir.
Your time's expired. If you could finish your thought.
Okay. Folks, everybody's done a good job today. I appreciate it. I appreciate the commissioners and everybody that are here today and the state representatives. The thing we need to do is get after the commissioners, get after the mayors, get after any politician you can. We need to stop this.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you coming out this afternoon. Steve Chesser? No, all right. We'll circle back. Mark Moore? Mr. Moore, first, is your last name spelled M-O-O-R-E?
That it is, sir.
Thank you. And did you confirm that you would be testifying truthfully?
I did.
Thank you. Please, I'll set the timer, and please go ahead.
Thank you. I'd like to come at this from a different direction, and I'm going to go back to what this gentleman on the end, legal counsel, said, a word that he used, that was Enron. So I'm going to circle back. So if folks would take a look at how market makers set prices, and this is a commodity that we're dealing with, 40% increase in a commodity, whether it's corn, but this is electricity. The market makers, if they can get the price that they can get the market to do, the retail customer, jack up a price of a stock, whatever, that's the price that's going to be paid. If the companies can get the retail electric bills higher, that's what's going to make the market in the futures. So they'll be able to get that price. It's a higher price. We pay the price through our wallets, which is understandable, but that's how market makers set it. Now, you've got several market makers in this country, and one of them is PJM. Now, they just had an auction, okay? They had a low cap and a high cap on the megawatts. They do daily auctions. The low price was $269 per megawatt. It all went out at $329 a megawatt. So that shows you if these market makers can get the public to say, oh, we lost, it's okay, that sets precedence for the prices that's going to be paid in the future. Now, this is the PJM market maker. They call themselves, they're actually called PJM Interconnection, right? Transmission grid operators, but they're really market makers, just like ICE or the NYMEX, where all the futures are traded. So if we allow the increases, that sets higher prices, that sets the demand, because PJM is an East Coast market maker. That's where all the AI data centers are going. So that means the increased price that we're paying, now the data centers have to pay that big price too, because they're still going to pay the retail price as it is. But as our prices go up across the country on an average, they're going to go to these data centers, crypto centers, or whoever else, and we set precedents for that, for allowing that. And I just want the commission to look at it that way. I mean, we've got Enron 2.0 coming up, because a lot of your generators are the ones powering the country, but it's the market makers that set the price and demand. So you've got them, Enron's still out there, they just called a little different name, that's all. I'd like the commission to look at it in that direction if they would. Thank you.
Good timing. Thank you very much, Mr. Moore. I appreciate you being here this afternoon. Scott Novak. The next few names we have are going to be Richard McIntosh and Mike Krzyzewski and Jerry Buckley. I'm sorry, Mark Krzyzewski. I was smiling because Mike Krzyzewski is the retired coach of the Duke basketball program, so okay. Thank you. Mr. Novak, is your last name spelled N-O-V-A-K?
Yes.
And did you swear that your testimony will be truthful?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I'll set the timer. Please go ahead with your statement.
I want to tie this. I'm also alderman for the city of Forsyth. I have several businesses in Forsyth. I want to plead on the behalf. We had to raise our water increase, some of it because of increases such as utilities and everything else, and it really hurt our people, from businesses to everything. Now I'm hearing there's actually 2 rate increases in that one, so this increase is probably going to be about 50% at least. If one's 42, I'm sure the first rate's going to be at least 10, so we're at about a 50% increase probably. The second you guys do this, I'm going to have to raise water rates for my citizens. And because all the other costs associated, when you guys allow this, if this increase is allowed, it's going to tag on all the other incidental costs from everybody else that has to bump up theirs. So I'm going to have to turn around and hammer the citizens of Forsyth on their water bill considerably again. People have talked. I have a laundromat. Now, laundromat are usually used by people that can't afford to have their own washer and dryer, or have such a large family that it's more practical to go in there and do several loads instead of one at a time. Just the 45 increase that they're presenting, or the 40 plus increase that they're presenting, is going to cost me good. My utility bill runs anywhere from $800 to $900. It's going to go up to $12. I'm going to have to pass those directly on. All of this is going to have to be passed on to everybody. So when you're talking about a citizen of Forsyth getting a rate increase on their power of 45%, I'm going to have to add that increase to their water, and so it just magnifies. And it's just, and then everybody's talking about White River. White River is a co-op, I understand that, but whatever they're doing, they're producing it a lot cheaper, and they're also give back to the community. Liberty doesn't give back that I know of. There's grants. They're giving grants to teachers. They're giving grants. We got $500 as a city towards a Christmas tree from White River. They're constantly giving back. They have area fund events that they give back to the community. I don't see nothing from Liberty. You never have. And the salaries are just preposterous at Algonquin. The President of the United States makes what, $300,000-$400,000. There's several people making multiple $1 million and not doing it and they're not running the business very well. Also, they keep a debt load. They rather pay their people dividends and keep their debt high. And why they do that is they can use this to plead to the commission that, hey, we have this debt, we need to increase, instead of paying off their debt. Is that my timer?
It is. Please go ahead and finish your thought, though.
Well, just basically saying, there, you know, it's just a pass on. They're not managing it well, and they're not paying off their debt, so they can leave it look that they're in that more dire need than they actually are. They rather make their money. No one's, you know, if I don't run my business right, I take a loss. Ain't none of them, and Algonquin taking a loss. They just pass it on to us and give it as an increase. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Novak. I appreciate you being here today. Richard McIntosh. Mark, is it Krzyzewski? It is not, and I apologize.
Close enough, close enough. CZYZEWSKI.
Thank you, whoever was in the audience helping out with that. And just to confirm, you did take the oath that your testimony would be truthful.
Affirmative.
Thank you. Please go ahead. I'll set your timer.
It's short and sweet. I've listened to the question and answers earlier, and I see just an argument going back and forth. I don't think there's any real set, you know, standard of what people think are acceptable. But I do know one thing. I like competition, and having a for-profit electric company I don't think is beneficial to this area. I used to live in Arkansas, and we had a co-op there, and there's a co-op here, and even in Springfield, they own their own electric company, and their rates are, I thought, unbelievable. They were really good, but we, for some reason, have a for-profit organization, and I don't believe it's good for this community. I don't believe it's good for Arkansas, and my suggestion is to go to have other options for the people, and I would like some advice on how we petition that to happen through the commission. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you being here this afternoon. Jerry Buckley. And the next few names are Gail Meyer, Ken Shortman, and Dennis Mobley. Mr. Buckley, is your last name spelled Buckley?
Yes.
And just to confirm, you did agree that your testimony would be truthful?
I did.
Thank you. I'll set your timer. Please go ahead with your comments.
Okay, most of my major questions were answered in the question and answer. What I'd like to do is support the staff's recommendation for the large load customer service tariff. I used to work for a company that had a demand charge because we had, you know, $10,000 a month electric bills. So I understand how that works in our passage. I'd also like to voice that I am not a DEI, ESG agreeing person, and I know that Algonquin that's a very big part of their process, and so I'd like to recommend that whatever costs to run those programs can be shared back to the dividend owners, and then the dividend owners can decide if they like that policy or not. And after I did a little homework, these companies are abandoning the DEI process, and that would include Lowe's, Walmart, Ford, McDonald's, Amazon, Disney, Meta, Target, Google, Toyota, PepsiCo, and some others. So that's just a little cost thing that if the company wanted to run with that, they could pay for it with dividends, and the dividend holders can decide, you know, if that needs to be carried on. I also want to say that I've been here 12 years. We've all seen some pretty heavy storms here, as you all have, probably most likely if you lived in Southwest Missouri. I went through Joplin the day it went away, and I moved here on that day. And so Liberty staff and line crews are incredible. They're excellent to work with. They act like family in the storm. They're not telling you to get out of the way. They're working with you as a team member. And when I worked with the people at the service desk, where the customer service, they're incredible to work with, you know. And the nice thing is they're people I can understand. My hearing isn't that well, and I need clarity, and some companies have people that I can't understand, and so that's a big help. And the bottom line to run with this whole thing is 39%. I just can't do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Buckley. I appreciate you being here. Gail Meyer. Mr. Meyer, is your last name spelled M-Y-E-R?
It is, and I'll tell the truth.
Thank you. I'll set the timer, and please go ahead and give us your comments.
So my family is in business in this community, has been for a long time. The increase, and I have a degree in chemical and petroleum refining engineering, if you can believe that. But the increase for us is six figures. And so we take this very seriously. It's one of our 4 largest costs. And so I have some choices. I can either pass that on to the customer, I can eat it, or I can try to cut my costs. And sometimes cutting costs basically amounts to labor. And so, you know, when I look at this and you see this increase, and I've heard 30, I've heard 39, I've heard 50, there's probably a right answer there, but it indicates that there's a problem. And, you know, whether that's leadership of the company, whether that's poor planning, you know, is it outside sources, there's a problem. And, you know, I understand that this is cost recovery, and I also understand that there's a return on equity. And I saw the return on equity at 9.5%. I think that's aggressive. That would be above the loan rate. It'd be above any CD rate. And in fact, these senior citizens who I really feel for, they could buy stock and get a better return than in the CD in the bank, right? And I think you got to look at that. Also, locally, I don't think the problem's locally. Our folks locally are admired for hospitality and service. But I think we have to remember that they just do what they're told to do. And this is the same company who gave incentives to folks to reduce electricity based on a court case. And I always wondered how that made any sense to resist that, because if you give those incentives and people cut their electricity, they don't have to put the money, or they can push the capital stack down the road. And I think that needs to be a reminder to Liberty. But in general, I think it's probably embarrassing to Liberty and to this community to say we needed somewhere between a 30 and a 50% rate increase. I think the Office of Public Counsel probably came the closest to where we should be. I'd ask the Public Service Commission to be harsh. I think they need a wake-up call to be harsh in this issue. And I also don't like the concept of utilities coming and asking for the moon and expecting for part of Montana. You know, my answer to that is give them a small part of Montana. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer. I appreciate you being here this afternoon. Ken Shortman. And Mr. Shortman, let me spell your name. Is it spelled S-C-H-O-R-T-M-A-N-N?
Yeah, it's a pretty crowd.
Thank you. And did you?
I took the oath.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll set your timer. Please go ahead with your comment.
Okay, I'm here as a retired person, and a lot of people who are retired. I have been to a lot of different places in this country because I served 23 years in the military. And every place I've gone, they do these electrical rate things, kind of like they're doing here, but not like this. I've never seen anything like this. 30% for me and my wife on retired pay, to pay that much more is kind of a little out of whack with reality towards the people who've worked their whole life, supported this country, supported everything else, to pay that kind of increase. Now, as a part of that, I had my own business when I retired from the military, and it's unbelievable what I did. I used a lot of electricity because I had hatchers and incubators to hatch quail, thousands. But when the electrical rates went up, it didn't hit me near that. The other thing I have to say is that it gets a little political, but this company actually being from Canada, and Canada and the U.S. having a little strike with one another, there might be another reason for this. They want more money because maybe tariffs. So think about that one. I'll also put this out, that my wife and I, every night, shut everything off. We don't have TVs running, VCR, we don't have all that running. All we have running is, well, you gotta leave the oven plugged in the refrigerator, but all the lights, everything go off. And they supposedly have what they call a, what do they call it? Off hour, huh? Yeah. So they're supposed to, you get a little money back. So what do I get every month for turning everything off? Less than 50 cents. I think that is crazy. So we don't run anything. We're supposed to get a little cutback for being reduced the power, and we don't get nothing but 50 cents. That's just, to me, is bad. Retired people can't afford this. I have an income, but it's fixed. Other folks have less income than what I do, and they're really fixed. So raising this kind of thing on people like that worked their whole life, and now we're going to pay this kind of increase to a company run out of this country is bad. Thank you.
Mr. Shortman, thank you for your service, and thank you for being here today. Next on our list, Dennis Mobley. And after that will be Karen Best, and then where is Forrest? I can't see him. And then you'll be up next, Forrest, for our assistants. I'm sorry, let me get back to Mr. Mobley. Is your last name spelled M-O-B-L-E-Y?
It is.
And did you confirm that you would be telling the truth in your testimony?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'll start the timer. Please go ahead with your comments.
Okay, it is my opinion that Liberty needs to upgrade their hearts more than their systems, okay? They say they want to make service more reliable and to be able to generate more electricity. I've been living in the area for years now, and the service has always been reliable. They say they want the ability to generate more electricity, but how much is enough? How much money are they going to try to milk us for to say that they've got enough? The service works, okay? If there's a legitimate need for more electricity, then that demand itself should be generating extra income, extra revenue. It's just, well, I do not like these people. All right, instead of being responsible and managing the revenue the way other growing businesses do, they just want to squeeze existing customers for 30% more money. Just, wow. Before Liberty ever became involved locally, my experience was, like I say, reliable, dependable electrical services. So for so many reasons, on so many levels, I don't buy any of their rationale, their reasoning. It just, oh, wow. Even in times of high demand, like extreme low temperatures or winter storms where people have more space heaters going, we still had enough electricity to meet the demand. So why are they pushing this as a justification for their raise, to raise rates? The reasons for trying to justify this absurd rate increase seem very questionable. They are to me anyway, and obviously to many others, okay? Even if their supposed goals were legit, why would it have to be an ongoing to the degree to which they're asking for it? Why does it have to be ongoing? Okay. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to go fast, I'm sorry. Okay. If, and I highly question the legitimacy of their intentions, but if they change some things for higher reliability and output, why would that need an extra $152.8 million every year going forward? Once any new equipment is in place and functioning, why keep squeezing people indefinitely as they intend? When most businesses want to upgrade, they have enough financial responsibility to pay for upgrades out of previous profits. Liberty is doing very well financially, so why can't they invest out of a portion of their own profits? Liberty wants to act like any changes must come out of getting more money out of their existing customers, so they want to raise prices first. Will they petition to lower prices after any new equipment is paid for? Are they going to do the same thing so they can reduce rates? I don't think so. Okay. Since Liberty is doing just fine, they're making lots of money, investors are making lots of money, they have good equipment and no problem making payroll, why do they have to make things even harder for customers who are already having trouble paying bills and putting food on the table? People are having a hard time with living expenses already, and Liberty wants to make it worse. If this questionable increase is granted, what will the ripple effect of this rate increase be? Well, you've heard it. You've already heard what it's going to be. Okay, moving on. To sum it up, Liberty's request for an extra $152.8 million per year is not justified by facts and reality. If updates to the system are needed, then those upgrades should come out of existing projects, of which there are plenty, and not putting additional stress on existing struggling customers. Again, Liberty needs to upgrade their hearts more than their systems, and I beg you people, please stop their greed. Please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mobley. I appreciate you being here this afternoon. Next is Karen Best. Ms. Best, this is an easy one. Is your last name spelled? Common spelling, B-E-S-T.
Correct.
Thank you. And did you confirm, tell the truth? I'll start your timer. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I served as mayor of Branson for 2 terms, so I worked very closely with Liberty Utilities in our community. And I would like to say they are amazing. They are the fabric of our community. We love them. Anytime we had an issue, we would call. But I will also tell you, every time there was a rate hike or any problems, I got a lot of phone calls about the issues with the rate hikes. And that was when the rate hikes were really low. I can't imagine how Merrill Milton's phone's going to be if the price goes through that you're suggesting. For the last 19 years, I've been a real estate agent as well, and I work with a lot of developers. And I'm currently working on a $70 million project in the city of Branson right now. And I can't tell you what effect that's going to have on these developers as they're coming in and that rate increase going so high. I'm telling you, they're watching this very carefully as they're in town right now, this week, looking at this. And so a 30%, 35%, 39%, whatever that magic number is really high. I can look across this audience, and I bet if I asked anybody, how many of you have got a raise in the past year of 30% or more, I don't think there's probably going to be many hands go up. And so you're dealing in an economy where it's really hard. It's hard for people to afford a home. And when you're going into this home and now you have this huge rate increase, it's going to make it impossible for homeowners as they go along. And so the one thing that I would ask you to consider is when people feel they're getting the value for what you're asking for, this room would be empty if everybody felt that that value was there. You've heard a lot of comments about billing issues, customer service. I'm going to give you just one quick example. I had a customer that was selling their condo, and we called to get the changes made from the seller to the buyer in electric. We gave them the account number, the meter number, and this is the 800 number. This is not local. They wanted us to go and to climb down a gully to go verify that that was the correct meter number. I'm like, you're the ones who have been billing this person for 5 years at this meter number and this account number, and you don't trust your own system? I know they purchased a new customer service system, and that was done pretty recently. I also know that that system has not been effective, and you've heard it over and over at different things. So now they're talking about abandoning that system. Now we, as the rate people in the community, they're asking us to absorb their decision to go with a faulty system. I don't think that that should be passed on to us. I would ask the commission respectfully to look at a lower number, something that's going to be easier for our community. We have a lot of senior citizens. Maybe that's a 2%, maybe that's a 3%. And somebody said 0% until all of these issues are fixed. We're just asking for you to be fair. What would you want to pay if you were living in this community? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Best. I appreciate you being here today. And Forrest, please help me out. Our next witness is Janet Macken. And Ms. Macken, is your last name spelled M-A-C-H-E-N?
It is, and it's pronounced Matchin.
Thank you, and I apologize. Ms. Matchin, did you confirm that you'd be telling the truth during your testimony?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Let me start your timer, and please go ahead with your comments.
I would like to say that my landlord checked in on me and found my temperature inside my apartment at 94 degrees. Now, he wasn't really happy about that. But I am at a fixed income, and I have to choose between my utilities and whether or not I have food. Now, I've already cut my food budget back to 1 meal a day plus 1 snack, just to keep me from being hungry and eating the wrong foods, because I'm educated enough to know what a balanced meal is. And I'm not happy with my utility company, have not been happy with it for a long time. And if I could choose without, I feel like I'm being extorted. I'm being forced to pay an extortion in order to keep my utilities on. Now, my landlord's not going to let me live in my apartment if I don't have utilities. Now, I'm down to turning the breaker off on my refrigerator. Now, what would you have me do? I have a right to life just as you do, or anybody in this room. And I feel like that I'm going to be forced out on the street and possibly suffer from heat exhaustion, a heat stroke, or even death. I have grandchildren that I love, and they should have a right to know their grandmother. And this company put me in a company that pays all my expenses, allows me to charge people for not being my customer, and I'll be a millionaire too. And I can't help but be angry over what's being done to me. This is the 21st century, people. Electricity was not just now invented. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I hear your frustration. I appreciate you being here today. The next name I have on the list is David Cushman, Evelyn Schudler, I might have that last name incorrect, Glenn Schultz. Mr. Cushman, is your last name spelled C-U-S-H-M-A-N?
It is, and I was sworn in.
Thank you, sir. I'll set
And
you.
I don't even know how to follow that. God bless you, ma'am. Chairman Hahn, Office of Public Counsel, I agree with your comment earlier today that there were a lot of comments in the room that should have been on the record for the Public Service Commission. And I would just ask that the commission consider a hearing format change so that all those people that thought they were being heard today would actually be heard, because they weren't. It's not on the record. So I'm going to have some rhetorical questions. I know that right now because there's no answers coming back. But why are we even here today? Why would the Public Service Commission, all due respect, why would the Public Service Commission staff allow this proposal to waste our time? Because that's what it is. It's a cost of human capital. Everybody's sitting in here giving up their time so they can put up with this. It's crazy. We've heard about the billing issues, the system issues. Again, cost of human capital. I sat in here for another 3 hours, okay, so we could complain about the billing system. Okay, I've brought my records again today. Chairman Hahn, I'm going to hand them to you if I could. I've actually introduced these to the to the Office of Public Counsel through Jeff Mark. And, you know, I I have approximately 25 meters that I'm responsible for. Just one of those meters will be affected in five digits, 5 figures with this increase. In 2024, because of the billing issue, we were charged 44% more than we were ever before. I've got 20 years worth of monthly records. It's back in line this year. Okay? So tell me, explain to me, Liberty, how that happened. You can't. Over $40,000 in extra charges just on 1 meter. What are the review standards of the Public Service Commission when they audit Liberty to verify that they even deserve an increase? Rhetorical, I get it. What's the capital been spent on that deserves this increase? Hopefully it wasn't that billing system. Okay? Final thoughts. The impacts of this. It's criminal. You just heard this lady. It's criminal what's being asked for here from this company. It'll affect tourism. It affects fixed income residents. And it will affect every commercial entity in this community. Will you accept my records?
I will, Mr. Cushman.
Okay.
Okay. And I. Thank you, sir. I appreciate.
I would just ask one thing. Please deny this request.
Thank you, sir. The next name we have is Evelyn Schindler. Okay, we'll circle back. Glenn Schultz. All right. Mr. Schultz, is your last name spelled S-C-H-U-L-Z?
Yes, it is, and I was sworn in.
Thank you. I'll start your timer. Please go ahead and share your comments.
Thank you. I'm an alderman here in Branson and feel compelled to represent constituency on this issue. I've spent many years in the boardroom listening to division managers come in and talk about price increases, cost increases, and so on. And if a product manager came in and said, I need a 40% price increase, I'd start asking, what are the comparables? Show me what else in the marketplace demands this. How are we stacking up against our competition? And from 2023, their last rate increase, to 2025, we've experienced as a country less than 6% compound inflation during that time. If I look at a comparable utility in the same marketplace with the same sparse demographics that Liberty Electric has, if I look at White River Electric, a co-op, they just announced a rate increase. Their first rate increase since 2017 to 2025 that just went into effect is 6.1%. While I value what Liberty Electric does, I can assure you as a former Whitewater River customer that that utility provides excellent service as well. I had no experience with electricity going out. I had no experience with problems expanding my power infrastructure through that utility. White River also said that their cost of electricity this year as a co-op is going up 8%. It's hard to reconcile that 8% that they're experiencing against a near 40% increase that's being asked of us. If I look at the billing errors that Liberty has, I'd say that product manager, that division manager would have been fired. And I think Liberty while it's an unfortunate set of errors, it is so gross that the commission should essentially punish Liberty for the pain that they put the residents through with their significant billing errors. You've heard from many residents who have cataloged their errors. Many don't even realize they had errors and happily paid them, and Liberty should be punished. Finally, I'd ask you to consider the Taney County's partnership survey that was done in 2023. This is a government-private partnership for economic growth in the area. In that survey in 2023, 79% of the residents responding were less than $100,000 of income in our community. 23% of those residents were less than $50,000 income. Consider this type of proposed increase against that type of income. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you coming out this afternoon. And we are doing good. We are about a third of the way through the witness list, so we will keep going. Let me call the next handful of names. Brent Carroll, Jay Trussell, Becky Penrod, and Mike Evans. Brent Carroll? Okay, we'll circle back. Joy Trussell? Thank you, Ms. Trussell. As you make your way to the stand, is your last name spelled Trussell?
Correct.
And thank you. Did you confirm you'd be testifying truthfully?
Yes.
Thank you. I'll set your timer. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Back when the electric company was called Empire Electric, we had no problem. We knew the rates would go up a little bit now and then, probably yearly. We understood that. The problem came when it went from...
Could you speak into the mic, please?
The problem came when it went from Empire to Liberty. First raise, we understood the fact that name change. Okay, we could deal with that. But last year in particular, we were charged 7 bills in January, all different numbers, all different account, not a different account, so same account, all different numbers, all different price ranges. Went to OKIC for the second year, that particular year, and we were, on behalf of us, Liberty accepted $318 for, I was in the understanding for winter bills, but it didn't go to winter bills. They went to summer bills that we were told that their computer system was whacked out, I guess. In order to take care of that problem, I had to come up with $390, which is small compared to what's out here. But it's huge for me and mine. That $390 ended up on a credit card. The credit card I'm supposed to pay down. It's taken me years to pay it down to $7,000 because it was almost $15,000. Now it's creeping back up there again. It's part of life. I understand that. I don't like it. And I'm upset about what's going on. I have sent paperwork to 2 members of this Missouri Public Service Commission. I received a letter from them saying, basically, that they're looking into it. It's going to take about 30 days. In the meantime, if you're able to go to the meeting, go to it, please. You need to be heard. I'm not a speaker. I'm just a person living on a Social Security income. My husband has Social Security income. He also has COPD. He needs his electricity for his oxygen. That's all there's to it. We only have plugged in what is absolutely necessary: stove, refrigerator, microwave. Yes, we do have 2 TVs. One's in the living room, and it's on when we're in there. The other one's in the bedroom. It's on for me. I need the night light. I turn it down, but I need the night light to be able to move around and not trip over his oxygen cord. Come on, folks. This is not right. I don't know how to fix it. There's other people here who can explain it better than I can. But what's going on is not right. I've got a truck that needs power steering fixing. Neighbor of mine was nice enough to say, yeah, I can fix it. He fixed it. But it's still really hard to steer. The power is not always there. I'm afraid to use it, and I need my truck. If I need to move, which is getting real close to it now, I don't even have a vehicle to move with now. Folks, this is not right. I live in a 2-bedroom trailer house. Our temperature in the house is like the lady said here. It's high. We keep a thermostat on 77. The last few days has been 75. He needs it a little cooler than that in order to breathe, in order to use the oxygen to breathe right. Come on, folks, you're playing with life and death here. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Ms. Trussell. I appreciate you being here today. The next name we have is Becky Penrod. All right, and then we have Mike Evans, followed by Bill Merck and Marilyn Call. Mr. Evans?
EVANS, and yes, I did.
Thank you. I appreciate both of those statements. I'll set your timer. Please go ahead with your comments.
Okay. Well, it's a shame that the commission didn't get to hear a lot of the people that were here in the first part of this, because there were some very, very knowledgeable statements made, such credible statements made. And it's a shame that you're not going to get to hear it. This room's about 1/3 as full as it was during the Q&A. And, but I was just taking notes on a lot of them. But the increase, 30, 50, you know, number one, we just went through huge increases in inflation. People can't even afford their food anymore, hardly. It's funny because this year, I'm 70 years old. I live in a senior community here in Branson. So the point being is I hear it from my neighbors all the time as senior citizens. The food costs didn't go down with the 20-some% inflation that went through the 4 years of Mr. Biden. We got a little bit of inflation increase here under our new president, Mr. Trump. It was like, I think it was 2% or 3%, I'm not sure, but it was very low. And, but see, really it's, if let's just say under Biden it was 25%, well, it's 28%. It don't ever go down. It just continues on the upward spiral. And this year, Social Security is a little over 2% increase in your Social Security checks. And living in a senior community, as the president of my POA, my most conscientious move that I do with my community is you think of the person that can't afford to live there the most. That's number one. And if there's one person, that's my number one factor into increasing the monthly assessment to live there. I'm going to be very conscientious of that. This company hasn't been conscientious. Everything I've heard today, and you all missed it all. You missed a lot of really strong statements made about, and they had strong numbers about this company, Liberty. I mean, I get power from them, and I'm not complaining. All my electricity works. I'm happy about that. But the bottom line is, this cost increase is just unrealistic. And they talked about wind farms today and renewable energies. There's some very intelligent people spoke on that matter. Everything I've ever read on it, they don't pay, that was just a pipe dream. They don't make money. They're going to put so many dollars back into the thing, and it's going to get so many percentage points. But it's not going to cover the cost of installation. It will not cover the cost of the installation of that renewable energy. There were so many statements made here today, but our community is going to suffer tremendously if this is allowed to happen. It's going to, not just a little bit, a lot. And then I'm still going back to my original thought. Who's going to be in my community that we're going to come together as a group to go support, because this increase, if it's allowed to happen, and I don't think it should get any increase from what I'm hearing, overpaid executives, way overpaid. The one man had a beautiful statement, how executives with 1 million customers made, the execs made $1 million, where the exec for this company made, what, 4.6, I think I heard earlier, or something like that. And it's an unbelievable amount of money. So I think they're a little top-heavy, they're badly managed, and there's a lot of knowledge here today, but there's a lot of suffering if you let this happen. And I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And God bless all of you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Next, we have Bill Merck. Marilyn Call. Clyde Cassidy. And as Mr. Cassidy comes down, our next names are, the first name starts with an R, and the last name, I believe, is Montgomery. Thank you. Not a problem. You should see my handwriting. Andrew Hurt, and then Kurt Lord. Let me get back to Mr. Cassidy. As your last name? You have been sworn. Thank you, sir. And then your last name is Cassady. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. Please go ahead with your comments.
I'd like to give my opinion. 39% rate increase, I believe, is too much. The $3 million salary by the CEO of Liberty speaks volumes. When I echo the gentleman that spoke just a minute ago and the one that spoke earlier in his question and answer time. I'd request that they be denied, but the main, one of the main concerns that I have is I've got a couple of, I'm 71 years old. Me and my wife were on fixed income. We're not wealthy people, and we're going to feel this increase. But I've got a couple of buddies. One is 83 years old. The other one is 89 years old. I want to give you folks a couple of specifics. 83 years old. His name is Richard. Used to heat his place with wood. He's 83 years old. He broke his neck last year. And I'm telling you, he can't heat it with wood. He can't get out there and chop that wood and make that happen anymore. And he told me a couple of years ago, when he uses electric heat to heat his place, it's hundreds of dollars more than when he heats with wood. My friend Richard is going to be greatly affected by this. He's 83 years old, broke his neck. In a very serious way, he's going to just have to make a decision. Am I going to pay my electric bill, or am I going to eat? Like this lady, it's gut-wrenching for me to hear that, what this lady is going through, folks. I've got another friend. His name is Jack. He's 89 years old. Last year, in the wintertime, he had a bill of over $700. My friend Jack, you do that, and it could conceivably add $300. He's on Social Security. The man that spoke and mentioned the $3 million salary of the CEO of this company mentioned what he made every month in Social Security. Folks, listen. He's going to have to make a decision. Am I going to eat 3 meals a day or 2 meals a day, or am I going to pay my electric bill? And that's the main reason. I had a lot going on today, and I'm a senior citizen. I'm 71 years old, but I So I told my wife, so we're going to go down. I'm going to tell them about Jack, and I'm going to tell them about Richard. And I could go down the list. My wife here is Nikki with me, and I know I'm fixing to get over my time, but I could go with Kathy and other people that we know that are, you know, in their 70s and 80s, and Kirk and Carol. Don't be very, very considerate and careful with your decisions, because the decisions that are made here are going to greatly affect senior citizens on fixed incomes. I'm telling you. And that's all I have. I want to sincerely thank you for your time. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Cassidy. Roy Montgomery. And following that will be Andrew Hurt, Kurt Lloyd, and Jane Dooley. Mr. Montgomery, is your last name spelled Montgomery?
Yes, sir, it is.
Thank you. And did you confirm earlier?
I did.
Thank you, sir. I'll go ahead and set your timer. Please go ahead with your comments.
Okay, I'll try and make this simple, and it's going to be pretty basic. We've lived in the area for 20 years. My biggest concern on this whole issue is it's more than a rate increase on our electric bill. It's not just your electric bill that's going up. For example, at home, my neighbor called me last night and says, "You going to the meeting?" I says, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, you tell them this." She says, she lives in a big house. She's got several kids, a lot of folks living there. She's on a monthly billing, annual, same amount each month. She's paying $400 a month for electric bill. She says, if this rate increase goes up, a minimum, I'm going to be paying another $120 a month. I can't do it. I'm also on a POA, which is the same thing as an HOA. It just doesn't have anything to do with homes. It has to do with managing property. But we have to maintain 2 private wells. Our electric bill, just based on last year's amount of money, is going to go up a minimum of $600 for this year. Minimum. Which means we now have to go back to the owners and ask for more money to maintain them, because we try to keep that bill down so people have money to spend elsewhere. But it's going to go up. Maintenance and tests and doing whatever we have to do to keep the 2 private wells going, as expensive as it is just with inflation and stuff. The electric bill, that's just something a lot of people don't think about. Well, my electric bill is going to go up. Until they get a phone call from me saying, "Oh, by the way, we're going to raise your annual fee up this year because the electricity bill went up." What? I can't pay more. So you got that to deal with. Another thing that has to be dealt with other than just an electric bill is, I don't know how many folks have solar. My wife and I are lucky. We've managed to do well, just because I'm retired military and she's retired from a government job as well. So we've gotten lucky. So we were able to put solar on the house, which is great, until it comes time and you produce too much solar, and then the electric company gets it. They started paying us 2.5 cents per extra kilowatt hour that we produced that they didn't use. They turn around and sell it at that time for just under 13 cents. Now they're paying us 3.3 cents a kilowatt hour, and they're turning around and selling it for 4.03 cents, because that's what a kilowatt hour is costing us right now. Is if you're at 500 watts, 500 kilowatts, you pay $14.03. I brought my electric bill. That's how I know it says that. But if I produce extra, they give me 3.3% or 3.3 cents. That means they're taking 11 cents and they're selling it to you guys. So they're making 11 cents off me for every kilowatt that I send them. When they do the rate increase, is that going to go up? I don't know. So my question to the commission would be, or not question, but an ask or a favor, is when you look at the numbers, please make them be responsible and show them what's going on. How much are they making a year? Where's all the money going? Show us some responsibility on what you're doing with that money before you ask for more. Because my attitude has always been, you need to live within your means. And if you can't live within your means, then you need to change the way you're living. Well, guess what? Maybe they need to change the way they do business. They never mentioned one thing in our question and answer period about, well, if we don't get this money, we're not going to be able to provide this service. We're not going to be able to provide that. No, it had nothing to do with that. And their service was terrible a year or so ago when their billing went crap. 3 months we went without a bill. I finally got some, but it was a month late, and then it said we didn't owe them anything. So my wife calls them and says, well, yeah, you're going to owe us, but we'll catch up. I says, no, you won't. So we went down and wrote a check and paid them right then and there. And it was a little bit over, but I says, I don't want to be dealing with extra money. So their billing is still messed up. We had problems with the billing for the wells, and that was all out of whack. So I would ask them to be more physically responsible for their business before they start asking us to cover their mistakes. And that's, I think, personally, I think that's what they're asking us to do because they have not asked about it. So with that, I'll leave that go. And I see I'm probably out of time. To close, bottom line is, please, Commission, I know you're going to do the responsible thing, but make them be responsible. Find out where the money's going, what they're doing with it, and why they've got to have the extra money, because they haven't talked about cutting service or doing anything different. They just say they want more money, but where's it going? So, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Montgomery. I appreciate your service and appreciate you being here this afternoon. Andrew Hurt. And Mr. Hurt, is your last name spelled H-U-R-T?
Yes, sir.
And did you confirm you'd be testifying truthfully?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Please go ahead with your comments.
Thank you. One thing that I think needs to be addressed that haven't heard people talk about is that overall, since the Trump administration took over, the price of energy has been decreasing. These numbers pulled off of, I used AI to pull this, but gas is down 12% overall nationwide. Crude oil 17.5, natural gas, which holds 42% of the market share of electric generation supply, has come down 27% in price. So what really we're looking at here is as the price of energy and to produce energy is coming down, they want to raise the cost. And so what this will look like, right, because we're not just looking backwards, we have to look forwards about what's coming. What is going to happen is they are going to be getting a lot more than your 30 or 40% on the back end. We just won't see it. It could be 60, 70% that they will actually be getting. And this, the cost of energy going down is only expected to continue, especially with a pro-energy, pro-fossil fuel administration currently in the White House. But as we pay for this 30, 40% increase ourselves, as many people have already stated, there's going to be businesses are going to have to move some of this cost onto the consumer. And that's going to be us paying for even more energy costs who live in these communities. People are suffering. We have endured 4 years of a Biden administration who was anti-energy. And just as we are getting ready to come out of this, people started to get a glimmer of hope. Liberty Utilities comes in and tries to crush that. There's elderly people who are on fixed incomes. Single moms working 2 jobs to put food on the table. You think they can afford this? Young people, my generation, millennials, Gen Z, right? Owning a home is further and further out of reach. But what are we told? We're told you will own nothing and be happy. And this is only furthering that. What's the solution? Get a 3rd job? You know, there's something that came to mind when I was thinking about this, about an old movie called It's a Wonderful Life. George Bailey was addressing Mr. Potter, right? He said that this rabble you're talking about, they do most of the working and paying and living and dying in this community. And is it too much to ask that they work and pay and live and die in a couple decent beds in a bath? That ability is getting further and further out of reach. I can tell you this, that if this passes, the headline that we'll read in the hearts and minds of people in Missouri will be that Liberty Utilities knows how to kick a man when he's down. And in closing, I'll just say that if the commission passes this at this current rate, or pretty much at all, it will further erode the trust in our government, who is supposed to be protecting the people. And so it would be my call to just do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hurt. I appreciate you being here today. Kurt Lord. And Mr. Lord, is your last name spelled L-O-R-D?
L-O-R-D, just like in heaven.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
and I promise to tell the truth. So my name is Kurt Lord, and I own 2 hotels in Branson. Now, these aren't tourist hotels. These are the hotels that cater to the working citizens of our community. They work for general contractors, not the Buffalo construction general contractors building the Texas Roadhouse. Those people will be here today in the state and gone tomorrow to the next project. But I cater to the workers, the citizens of this community who are here to stay and give back to the community. So when I have to pass on this over 30% increase, the very citizens, the productive people that want to live in this state, to stay in this community, to give back, are going to scatter. Don't start that ball rolling. Now, we talked about return on equity, 9.5, 10%. But let's really look at this carefully. The return on equity for the co-ops is about 4 to 5%. Now, the Public Service Commission could say, well, that's a little different type of structure. That's a nonprofit. Liberty is a profit. But wait a second. Yes, Liberty has more expenses as a profit, but we heard in the question and answer session that a big part of those expenses is the $4.5 million salary of the CEO of Liberty, and that is a different type of profit. They have higher expenses, and the people in this room and this community should not have to be paid more for their electric bill because of a different corporate structure. Now, here's what you should look at. You should look at what's going on in the Ozarks. We talked about White River. There's another one that's in the Ozarks, the Northwest Arkansas Electric Cooperative. And in the question and answer session, I asked the Council for Liberty, would you please provide the Public Service Commission a comparison of your proposed rates after the 30-something% and their existing rates? That's what we should be comparing. What's going on in the Ozarks and how much more will we be paying versus our neighbors in the Ozarks? Now, the other thing that the Legal Counsel for Liberty suggested in the question and answer session is, hey, you have the right as citizens to petition to get away from Liberty, to join White River if you want to. Now, it was also mentioned that's not normally granted in regular circumstances, but that's not what this is. This is not a rate increase of 6% requested. This isn't a rate increase with a company that has been having great billing success. No, this is an extraordinary situation of a rate increase of over 30% with a company that has had tremendous customer problems, billing issues, wasteful projects, and bloated management overhead. So yes, the PSC should allow us the ability to transfer to another provider because these are extraordinary circumstances. And here's the thing. We're all from Missouri. We're asking our PSC to show us, the citizens, that you recognize that this type of rate increase will devastate our local economy. Will you show us that you're listening? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lord. I appreciate you being here today. Jane Dooley. Thomas Heltcrew? Thomas Heltcrew? Carmen Lawson? Anthony Wheeler? Ashley Exendine? And following Ms. Exendine will be Joe Reich, Jeff Bullen, Lori Hayes. First, am I pronouncing your name correctly?
It's Exendine.
Exendine. And is that spelled E-X-E-N-D-I-N-E?
That is correct, and I swore in.
Thank you, Ms. Exendine. Please go ahead and give us your comments.
Thank you, first of all, to the Missouri Public Service Commission and to those serving in this hearing. My prayer is that the outcome of this hearing is to protect the residents in our community. One of the things that I really want to talk about is some of the things that came up in the question and answer session. Liberty Utilities repeatedly mentioned a cost of service formula, yet there were no indicators that there was any actual audited costs used in the formula. In addition, neither the audited cost or the formula has been provided for customers to justify the price increase. It was, however, confirmed within the question and answer session that there has been a mismanagement of funds that has resulted in massive turnovers, eliminations of executive positions, and a new CEO. I have spoken with a Liberty Utilities employee, and while this is secondhand information that I cannot confirm entirely, I was told that the billing issues that has occurred for me and many others here today resulted from a software upgrade that cost millions of dollars to implement. Executives were advised against the implementation of the software program, and as a result of the failure of that software and the mismanagement of millions of dollars to implement that software, that executive position was fired. Liberty Utilities has not justified a 29 to 39% increase depending on usage when their current rate is already 16 to 33 above the rates that a local company, Whitewater Electric, charges. And I understand that they are a co-op and that Liberty Utilities is a for-profit organization. As a comparison, White River Electric increased their rates from $11.549 per unit to $12.001 per unit in January of this year. The new rates proposed would be $18.584 to $22.42 per unit. That is nearly double the rate as the other local provider. In addition, there are already indicators that Liberty Utilities will request further rate increases once Senate Bill 4 takes effect to fund future projects. Some of those indicators were given during the question and answer session. Not only is this going to be a burden for local residents, but it's also going to affect the ability for us to sell our homes. Informed home buyers are already preferentially buying homes that are part of the White River Co-op, and I don't blame them. If this rate increase goes through, then a home in the same town on Liberty Utilities would pay twice the amount as someone on White River Electric. I ask that the Missouri Commission refuse and completely deny the rate increase request. Even the recommendation from the PSC staff to allow increased rates by $121.8 million, I think is the amount, are not justified based on the mismanagement of funds that we have seen as customers. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you being here today. Our next witness is Joe Reich. And sir, is your last name spelled R-E-I-S-H?
Yes, and I was sworn.
Thank you, sir. Please go ahead with your comments.
Okay. After the moving testimony that many have already given, I would ask the Public Service Commission, Chairman Hahn, to not vote in favor of this rate increase. I can recap billing issues. I could not attend the hearing you had last month on that score, but billing issue has come up again. Executive pay is out of line for others in the industry. Mismanagement continues to be a problem. And Mr. Moore referenced, this increase locks in a cog, a brick in the wall of inflation that will not go down if costs should turn around. I am not old enough to remember the deflationary year of 1937, but the folks were here and were in business and suffered through a year where prices actually declined. We don't want to see that. As many banks failed in 1937 as they did in 1930, 31, 32. It was bad. Manage it best you can. We do not want to lock in an excessive rate of inflation. And for this reason, I would ask Chairman Hahn and the Public Service Commission to vote against this rate increase.
Thank you, Mr. Reich. I appreciate you being here today. Next, we have Jeff Bullen. The next names after Mr. Bullen are Lori Hayes, Patrick Schooley.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
Yes, Mr. Bullen, is your last name spelled B-U-L-L-E-N?
That's correct.
And am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yes, you are.
Oh, excellent. And did you agree that you would be testifying truthfully earlier?
I did.
Thank you. Please go ahead with your comments.
There's been many salient points, actionable points by the Q&A responders here and today, just now. This is a disastrous event. I can't imagine the PUC having to face a client that is asking for reimbursement for repairs or whatever that weren't even estimated, bid on, and so forth in advance. It's interesting, I started out in the 70s on the board of directors for the first public utility districts for the state of Oregon. There was 13 different districts. And when you know, there was a group out of Manhattan, New York City, called Citizens Against Government Takeover. And they were supposed to act on behalf of the citizens, which in the state of Oregon already, you had, like the city of Eugene was municipally owned. Their rates were quite a bit less than Pacific Power and Light, which was the neighboring areas, investor-owned utility. So this does work. That's why White River works, is because the money is reinvested into the local communities. It's gotten to the point here with this, I've been tracking my own bills here in Forsyth. There's mysterious gaps. I had the highest bill ever this past winter. I said, what? I'm a certified energy manager with Association of Energy Engineers. So I started tracking it by hour, and mysterious gaps are still showing up. And when you add it all together, they don't compile correctly. This is mismanagement in this most egregious manner. I just spent the last 12 years of my career with the Marine Corps, 29 Palms. I was an employee contractor, and what we were doing was monitoring utility usage for the bases, the Marine Corps. Our contract is being held by the GSA and the Pentagon. And what I found, all this movement for the renewable energy, yes, electric vehicles are getting more responsible, but the subsidies are costing back-end costs to just escalate out of control. And something needs to be done. We need to be back to the basics where you clean the slate and get people that know how these systems work whether it's, the marketers on the megawatts or at the base level, what it costs per kilowatt hour to run any kind of technology. So that's what I would encourage, is get a commission here within the group, state of Missouri even, through our leaders, Brian Seitz, Brad Hudson, Josh Hawley. This needs to act right now. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Bullen. Thank you for your service and for being here today. Lori Hayes? I did? Anthony Wheeler? Excellent. Come on down. Sorry about that. Is your last name spelled W-H-E-E-L-E-R?
Yes, it
And did you previously agree to testify truthfully?
Indeed I did.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
I'm not going to belabor the point of the size of the rate increases. It's somewhere between 29 and 40%, depending upon your usage. So that being said, and I think that, when you look at that, nobody's ever seen anything like that in any other commodity that they buy or own or utilize. If your 401k, went up 40%, you'd be dancing, and obviously if it didn't, if it went down 40%, then you'd be worried about, where your next meal was coming from. So I think that we've heard numerous stories about mismanagement of Liberty. I'd like to take that just a little bit further and talk about Algonquin and what their situation is. They bet heavily into renewables, and they were having trouble with capitalization with that. They went ahead and took out debt for that, and because it was expensive debt, it cost them a lot of money to start that. They didn't have the capitalization to buy the renewables, and so lenders said, well, okay, well, it'll be a higher interest rate for your debt. And it was based upon interest rates. It's variable. It goes up just like somebody had a variable rate mortgage. Those didn't pan out, okay? So the cost of their debt skyrocketed once interest rates started to go up. Their renewables didn't perform, and so that margin was very low. And finally, they decided to scrap it all, like we heard earlier from the representative, and they sold all of their renewable projects. But they didn't get what they thought was an appropriate price. So we've heard about mismanagement from Liberty, and even if you look further to their parent company, you see unbelievable mismanagement. You see dividend cuts, their stock prices going down, the investors are scared. So I think that those kind of things need to be taken into consideration. If you put yourself in some sort of financial strait, then it's up to you to get out of it. And I personally don't think that it's appropriate for a company that's a monopoly to pass that burden on to us. The other energy companies that Algonquin owns, and there are numerous across the country, also are undergoing rate increases. And it's my thought that probably, a whole lot of that is going back to support, the parent company. So, and I'd have to say that I disagree with the PSC. Your summation is that it's 24%. You're willing to go for it at $120 million. That's about 24% on the low end that the PSC is agreeing to. OPC, at $100 million, you're saying, well, we're okay with a 20%. I don't think that that's appropriate in any case. This is not a rich community. It's not a wealthy community, and I think it creates an undue hardship on everybody that lives here. And I don't think I think the rate increase should be denied. That's it.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Mr. Wheeler, and I apologize for not catching your name earlier. There we go. His tie was really, really up. We had a couple alarms going off. Lori Hayes. And Ms. Hayes, is your last name spelled H-A-Y-E-S?
That is correct.
Thank you. And did you previously agree?
I did, yes, sir.
Thank you. Please go ahead with your comments.
Thank you for having me here today. You've heard from a large segment of our population. I'm here to represent your commercial customers. I am currently the executive director of the Branson Area Lodging Association. I'm also executive director of the Missouri Hotel Lodging Association. here today to talk to you about the Branson lodging industry. One of a lodging facility's largest expenses is its utilities. No one wants to stay in a hot hotel room. You don't want to swim in the swimming pool when it's dark. So that's a large expense for these facilities. With the proposed increases, a 100-room lodging facility would experience about a $35,000 a year increase. Okay, that's a significant number. That's a full-time, year-round employee at minimum wage. That's what we're talking about. In Branson alone, we have over 13,000 hotel rooms. So if you multiply those numbers out, the amount that it will cost the lodging industry in Branson, Missouri is over $4.5 million. If you look at that number that they're trying to collect as a whole, 3% of that overall cost is going to be paid by the lodging industry, strictly in Branson, Missouri. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if my child came to me on Tuesday and I had given them their allowance on Saturday, and they said, hey, Mom, I went and spent a lot more money than I planned on, and I don't have any way to make any other money, so I'm gonna need you to give me more allowance. I would tell my child, I'm sorry, you didn't manage your funds correctly. You're gonna have to wait until next week. This business model of spend and then charge your customers, I think is absolutely backwards. Most companies, if they plan on making capital expenditures, they look at their reserves and what their company can absorb, and then they make those spends to make those purchases. I don't think that it's fair and equitable with the billing problems that we've had to even be looking at their financials. I don't think any office should look at those financials until they can correct those billing problems. I don't think that they have accurate financials. They need to go back to refocusing on their internal issues before they come to the public and to you and ask for us to give them more money. It's a significant increase, and I would encourage you to deny it as it stands, get them to get you real numbers, and then go back to the drawing board. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Hayes. I appreciate you coming out today. Patrick Schooley. The next name I have is Neil, and the last name starts S-H. Brian Karn. Harold Nestor. Daryl Birdsong. Come on up. And just before we get started, another couple names, Arlie Townsend, Amon Adams. I'll have to stop there. Mr. Birdsong, is your last name spelled B-I-R-D-S-O-N-G?
Yes, sir.
And did you previously agree that your testimony would be truthful?
I'm sworn in.
Thank you. Please go ahead with your comment.
My partner and I, we own 2 small businesses here in Branson. We're a steel manufacturer, fab shop, small construction company, material sales. We're involved in a small business community. For those who are not from here, the majority of this community is small business owners. You know, mom and pop outfits who we employ as many people as we can employ. This is a challenging economy because service costs and everything, we can't keep pace with what the rest of the country is. I wanted to mention that within the past 2 weeks, 4 small businesses that we are friends with and that we know have had to fold. Small businesses right now were under attack everywhere in the economy, from predatory insurance rates to gross inflation. These are all costs that are a challenge for us to pass on to our customers, especially since our services aren't directly related to an end customer. You know, we have to bid work, anticipate what that work's going to cost, and then predict what that is. And then when we have shortfallings, guess what? We take it in the teeth. That's part of being a business owner. That's part of being an American. I would ask that the PSC hold Liberty to the same standards that we are held to and that our four friends are held to who had to fold their businesses. These are not people who work 3-4 hours a day. These are skilled craftsmen. These are people who work 10, 12 hours a day. We average 12-hour days. We should be working right now. I'll probably be working till 9 o'clock tonight when I leave this meeting, just to keep our doors open. We're not being made rich right now. We have been operating personally at a loss for the past year because of the way the economy is and other issues. Liberty should be held to the same standard that we are as business owners. If you mismanage your business, you should fail. I don't care if it's a large business or not. Second point I want to move on to, we've been talking about the trees when we should look at the forest right now, okay? The mismanagement and everything that's taking place within Liberty, that's fine and dandy. What we should really be looking at is what the importance of energy is in any economy. Energy is the foundation of an economy. It's not just people heating their homes. It's how small businesses, everything, the cost of your milk, the cost of something getting to your house on a truck. We should view energy as something that should be community moderated, the same way that we community moderate our roads that are part of our infrastructure. It's opening our community to a liability to allow corporate greed and other entities to become involved in that infrastructure that's so crucial to any economy. White River keeps being pointed out. These larger communities, like Springfield with city utilities, when they go to a community-operated system, it always works good. I just don't feel that there's enough room or safety in a system where you have potential greed that can affect the wider infrastructure of the economy. Am I making sense? Yeah, that's probably my 3 minutes.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you coming out this afternoon. Arlie Townsend? L. Amin C. Adams? Rob Colgate? Michael Obranovich? Thank you. And as Mr. Obranovich makes his way, we have 2 remaining names on our sign-up list, and that will be Sue Braun and then Doug Clark. Mr. Obranovich, is your last name spelled O-B-R-A-N-O-V-I-C?
Yes.
Thank you. And did you agree with the oath earlier that your testimony would be truthful?
It's,
Thank you.
yes.
Please go ahead with your comments.
I think what we all want from a power company is low-cost, reliable energy. But the energy that we've been getting from Liberty has been higher than the average cost. It has been higher than the average cost in the past. And now they want to put an extra 30 to 40% increase on top of that to make it totally unrealistic. When they invested in this, they keep talking about return on equity and garbage like that. When they invested in this business, it wasn't a government bond or something that they bought. There's no guarantees in business. If you make bad decisions, which there's a record of it, everybody in here has been talking about the bad decisions. Bad decisions you pay your executive staff exuberant amount of money, you're destined to fail. And you can't just go then to your customers and say, hey, we're going to fail. We're going to raise your rates to an exuberant amount to cover our losses. That's not the way business should work. Now, this is not a thing that's only going to affect the electric rates for regular people like me. I'm living on Social Security, and I'm not going to get a 30, 40, 50% raise anytime soon. So, but what this will affect, not only my electric rates, but like other people have mentioned, it'll affect my grocery bill because, hey, all the groceries are going to go up because they got to pay their electric bills too. All of that's going to go up. It's going to affect my clothing costs. It's going to affect just everything. So the end result of this rate increase, if it goes through, wouldn't be just 30%. It might be 30% of my cost of living, which would put me at a point where I couldn't hardly afford to live. And I just think it's just a ridiculous amount. I can't believe that anyone that looks at it in a reasonable manner would even consider that this rate increase has any merit. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you being here today. Sue Braun. Doug Clark. After Mr. Clark is done with his comments, I will open this back up to the audience, anybody who hasn't signed up or testified already. Mr. Clark, is your last name spelled C-L-A-R-K?
Correct.
Thank you. And did you previously agree that your testimony would be truthful?
Yes.
Thank you. Please go ahead with your comments.
Well, what I've examined here from the previous meeting I went to and the people that commented on the panels is that when businesses make decisions that affect a community like this, the responsibility of the company and the Public Service Commission is to go into the minutia of how we got to this point here, okay? We're not regulating this stuff at the right point, okay? We have international organizations, number one, the UN. If you don't think they have any involvement in what happened here with this company, they set them up for failure, is what they did. And we allowed them to come in here from an outside source from Canada and intervene in our way that we do business here and take advantage to get whatever tax write-offs they get in Canada for buying us. Not only that, they got to introduce the software package that caused all the consternation on the billing, okay? So we fixed something that wasn't broke, particularly, other than the financial part of it, that was created by the sustainability policy that was invented for this purpose back in the 1980s, influenced through the 1992s with the Rio Conference there that set out the Agenda 21, which is what that was for, and then President Clinton put it in as the President's Council on Sustainability without a vote of the people. So all of this environmental stuff that's causing all the problems in the energy sector about, quote, fossil fuels and carbon is a bunch of nonsense. It was designed to destroy our living here in this country. And if you read UNESCO, you read the WHO, you read all of these people running that stuff from the late 1940s, they tell you exactly what they are going to do to us. You just have to look it up. You can say, who was the head of UNESCO back in late 1940s, the first Attorney General or the Secretary General, and he'll tell you. You can even pull it up on a statement by the gentleman himself. The same thing with the World Health Organization. They tell you what they're going to do to you. So here we are, we're allowing an international policy-making body that has nothing to do with our form of government here whatsoever. We've allowed it to happen to ourselves because we have not been paying attention to the administrative level of how this got introduced into our communities and the country. So, you know, my thing is, we had some instructions from our people that invented our form of government that said be eternally vigilant. We're not being eternally vigilant on what's happening to our economy. Now, electricity, if you don't have a low electricity rate, you don't have an industrial capacity. You can't produce things in cheap enough manner to make it affordable for the public. And the energy sector is the same thing. Pretty soon, you're going to kill the goose that laid the golden egg here in this country, and there isn't going to be left that anybody can afford to buy anything, let alone food, for the examples we heard here today. So I don't think it's fair. Now, the other thing one of the founders said was that James Madison said, your most important part of your private property is your conscience, okay? And he said that in a statement, in a thing he wrote in 1792, in a Gazette article. He wrote what private property amounted to, and that was the last thing he said. If you don't have a conscience on what you're doing to your citizens, then this is what happens. You allowed the greedsters and these manipulators and the financial institutions and our public servants to buy into a load of baloney on what has to happen in a electric utility to be sustainable. We've cut our own throats.
Mr. Clark, I appreciate that. Your time has expired. Would you finish up your thoughts? All right, thank you, sir. And we have Tim Gould. We do have a microphone that we can give you in your seat.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Mr. Gould, is your last name spelled G-O-U-L-D?
Yes, it is, sir.
And did you agree with the testimony that your testimony would be truthful?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Please go ahead with your comments.
Thank you. Well, a lot of the things that were said today, and I could speak in regard to the fixed income population. You know, here in Branson, it's over 24% fixed income. I am a retired teacher, spent over 32 years. Here in Missouri, we are 49th in teacher pay in the nation, and that affects the retirement income as well. But I really wanted to address another population group, which my son-in-law and my daughter are involved in. The poverty line here in Branson is 19%, whereas the state average is 12%. If you're from Jefferson City, it's 12.5. So we are a larger population of poverty level line individuals. My daughter is a renter. They have no hope in the current future. They'd like to buy a home, but that's not available to them because of their financial situation. They have a Liberty account, and we have been in dispute with Liberty over their account 3 times in the last 2 years. They are still in dispute over billing practices and the statements that they've received for those bills. So in regard to your comment, sir, from the Office of Public Counsel, we believe that until they get their act together in regard to these billing issues, and I don't believe my daughter's the only one still involved in that issue, that any kind of increase would not be something that would be to the benefit of our community. The history of the rate for Liberty, back in 2020, they asked for a 0.4% increase, 50 cents per average monthly bill. And now they're asking for $40 to $50 worth of increase per month. In 22, they asked for a $10 per average increase for a person at a 7.53% increase. In November, they asked for a 16% increase. That was in 2024. And now they have changed that and modified that to the percentage rate that they're asking for now. In a comment that Mr. Wilson made earlier today, he said that they understand that there are recent economic conditions that make it tough for Missouri families, and there is never a good time for a change. And that was during the 2024. But in today's comment, he did not include recent economic conditions as being a problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gould. I appreciate you being here and your comments. That concludes the list of witnesses I had signed up. Are there any of those persons in the audience who did not sign up, have not yet testified, who would like to give their comments to the commission? Yes, sir. Come on down. After this witness, we'll be making some closing comments and then adjourning the hearing. Sir, please go ahead and give us your name.
Jeff Carner, C-A-R-N-E-R.
Thank you, Mr. Carner. And did you previously, no, you didn't.
No, but
let me
hold
swear you
on.
in real quick. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
It will be.
Thank you, sir. I will set your timer. Please go ahead with your comments.
Won't take long. I didn't plan on saying anything. You guys, the committee that's going to decide this and all, I don't know how all this stuff works. You've heard the numbers and the mismanagement and all that stuff. Yeah, what hurts me, this is the United States of America. How this got to this point, it disturbs me. It's totally ridiculous for a mega million or billion-dollar outfit to have the brass to ask for a 30 to 40% bump like that and to lay it on people that they've got the market hold on. How it even got to this point, you saw how full this room was, the energy, the time, the money it's costing people to show up to voice their opinions against it, how ridiculous it is. There's been all kinds of reasons stated why it shouldn't be allowed, and it bothers me how it got even to this point. And I know these are the beginning stages, but how it even got here just disturbs me. It shouldn't even have made it this far. But just use your common sense and do the right thing. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you being here today. Okay, seeing no further hands, any closing comments?
Thank you, Judge. As a gentleman stated earlier who had left, just want to sincerely thank you for your time. And as the last gentleman said, we know your time is very valuable. Many of you have spent probably 3.5 hours here now, and we just got to the end of the list. But we are listening. We do hear you, and thank you.
Yes, I'd like to echo those comments and thank everyone for participating, for coming out today. If you know of someone who would like to still make comments, they can go online. The PSC has a website, psc.mo.gov, psc.mo.gov, and in the upper right-hand corner, it says Submit Comments. Just make sure to include this case number, and this is ER 2024-0261. With that, again, my sincere appreciation to everyone.